Good morning. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. As I, right now, I'm getting in the truck right now to get out of work, night shift nursing, and still doing business. I think right now everybody can see that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well off you are. You got to get to you got to get to the bag. And you get to the bag. How do you get to the bag? It's not by hustling. And when I say hustling, I'm talking about hustling backwards. It's about hustling forward. And how you do that is by building something that can sustain through times that are economically hard, like we are right in now. One thing that I have been talking about in many of my videos is the loss of culture, the loss of community. When I say the loss of culture and community, especially in the African-American community, you can see that now there's no representation in the current administration that we're in. I'm getting over a sickness real quick, so I had some bronchitis, so my voice is going to be a little bit more harsh than it was before. But my whole point is that you look at the black culture, the black community, and you see a wasted opportunity when, especially back in the previous, not the previous administration, but before then, even when Ice Cube had his plan for Black America, who got in the way other than black people? Got in the way of any progress that could have been made. And the point of me saying that is that after a while, you're going to have people, when you get in the way of progress, when you get in the way of something actually getting done, when you have a group such as African American community that has no incentive to get anything done. When I say get anything done, is we are too busy sucked up in these talking points on being dissenters. We need to fight. You're not helping the community and the culture as a whole. These individuals that are in power are put in place to keep us fighting the administration and then pushing initiatives that don't help us when it's the other administration. I mean, you look at the Institute for Economic Wealth, and it's something like that. I put it in many videos before. They're saying that by 2053, black wealth, economic wealth, the power of the black community will have zero wealth by 2053. I've done tons of videos on this years ago. We don't own land. We're now losing the power of our vote. When I say the power of our vote, look at where things are now. I've talked about this months, all last year, talking about how, again, we're not buying and owning land. We're still waiting on, now it's been several hundred years and we still haven't gotten 40 acres in a mule. I've gotten 40 acres. I own 40 acres. And I'm selling it to another black family that is going to own that 40 acres. It's passed through black hands. This is not a black on black channel, but it is we could see a masterclass on a race, on a culture losing its economic influence and power that it once had. We went from Martin with marching to now we've got, Mackay on Instagram and TikTok doing dances with guns and all that. That stuff is the stuff that's popping now. And while that's great on TikTok, we're losing our actual economic power because, again, our economic power is in purchasing, but it's not in ownership. Because, again, we have $1 billion industry, multi-billion in our spending habits, but we're not generating any ownership habits. You can look right at the African American community and see the downfall playing right between your eyes, right in front of your eyes. And many of the people who are contributing to that have been the people who have been in power pushing the agendas that have worked against the black community to begin with. And the thing about it is that it's a lesson to all the other cultures out there on what not to do to lose your cultural relevance, your cultural power, your cultural influence on the U.S., the government as a whole. Respecting your group. I mean, you look at it now. I, as a nurse, have to constantly fight the image of a black man being successful against the sagging pants, the gold teeth, the tattoos on the face. And I mean, again, you look at it, who do they put in there? When Trump had Kodak Black in the White House, he with gold chains, hair looking all crazy, not saying nothing bad about Kodak Black. I'm sure he's earned his chance to be there, but it's not a person that's a nurse working in COVID that's an African American. You have what people perceive as what black culture is. That's our representation. Kodak Black in the White House is a representation of black culture right now. That's what they see us as. It's not while you have the, what is that, the attorney or the surgeon general, the black guy, he got fired. We now have Kodak Black being put into the White House. I got to go to the White House and pay as a guest, as a visitor, but he's invited up for whatever acknowledgement they're doing. So again, when you're looking at praise from the black community, look who's being put up to the front to showcase just how ignorant we can be. Just how ignorant we are. That is our representation. And what it does is that while it looks good right now, because all the hoodlums and the Negroes can say, great, Kodak's in there, look, it's one of us. The people who are exchange business with us as a culture, they're looking at that and saying, okay, that's how they are. So again, when you have nurses, doctors, lawyers, people who are businessmen that don't dress like that don't identify with that level of that community, you are representing us when you don't represent us. But again, we're not doing anything to change the image of that, because again, you've got top leaders and people in power positions wanting the ignorant people to stay there, because if you have more people who are aware, who are awake, who understand what's going on, and are going to say, man, that doesn't make sense with these policies, we're losing our power. The people who are in power, milking and getting the money, the people who are older, Maxine Waters, a whole slew of them that are pushing out policies that don't help out the actual communities they say they want to, those people are allowed to enrich themselves because they're part of the problem. So again, we're so worried about the symbolism of Kendrick Lamar on, the Super Bowl, instead of worrying about the actual things that are going on, the realisms that are being lost within our community. And we're asking for a seat at the table. And I'm saying to them, why should they consider to take us seriously when we don't even take ourselves seriously, acting a fool going to the damn White House? Why should they take us seriously when our representatives in the White House being acknowledged are a Kodak Black? I mean, I'm not, now we're having a rap acknowledgement for hip hop. Cool, that's fine. I understand. But it's not to diss Kodak Black at all. But I'm just saying, where are the black nurses and doctors being acknowledged? The people that I see all the time. Oh, I see, because where I work at, I'm typically the only one. I mean, black nurses, they're few and far in between. You don't see a lot of them. You'll see a lot more Indian nurses, a lot of more Spanish nurses, male nurses too, before you see a lot of black nurses. Even worse is doctors too as well. You keep going up and you will see that you will not see African American in higher percentages the more you go up. Now, you want to have an environmental cleaning person or a housekeeper, you'll see tons of African Americans and brown people in those positions. You'll see them at the levels of where they typically do the bottom level, work. They won't be at the top level making commas after a few zeros. And why is that? Again, we're not awake enough to understand that we keep on crying for seats at the table instead of showing and representing why we should be here. Yeah, it's great that Obama says the people that are there are not smarter than you when you get into the room. That's fine when you take Obama's word for it, but he was in the room. We're not in the room. It's great to say that they're not smarter than us, but the people are making policy decisions, changing your life, deciding on what you can and can't have, deciding inflation is hitting you worse than it's hitting them. And you're sitting there talking about, well, these people that, but these people are dictating your life more than you're dictating theirs, because we don't have any power, because we're not owning anything. And when you own something, you say, oh, well, I own a house. Great. But the bank owns you because the bank owns your house. You can't dictate any terms to the bank. Hell, if you want any money from the equity you have on your bank, from your house, you still got to go and ask the bank for it, which they can't approve or not approve for you. You can't get that on your own. You got to wake up, people, and stop being worried about Kendrick Lamar's diss on Drake and start looking at why do we not have more people of influence, more people of affluence in the White House going to these meetings, being representative of the culture itself. And to all the other people watching, this is an example on what not to do. Don't ostracize blacks for it. You're next. Because it's really all about power. It's not about race anymore, because there are people at the top that are my complexion that want to see black people fail. They're not into uplifting black people. They want to see blacks fail just as much as they want to see a white person fail, because if you're in the same class, you're all one class, not all one race. You're one race, the lower class. That's your race now. It is no longer racial along color lines. It is racial along class lines. It don't matter if you're white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian, white, yellow, brown. If you're in that class, that is your race now. It is no longer going to be divided by that. It's going to be divided by people who have power and who are in control, and people who don't. And people who can be in the room, the ones that are coming up next. And again, you don't have IULs. I've talked about that before. IULs for your kids, for yourself, life insurance. You're not doing any of these wealth building habits. You're looking at doing things. You're a consumer, a spender, retailer, being hit by large credit card spending. You're going to be sucked up into this. So you can look and laugh and say, oh man, the blacks, this, and this. Yeah, but you're coming down next. Because if you can't get approved, what's worse, you're no better than the next person. It's getting serious out there, and it's time for you to get serious. I used to tell my wife this a long time ago when I first met her. She'd say, Phil, you too serious. And I used to say all the time, you know, you got people in here, man, everybody want to have fun and game, party all the time, this, and that. And I always say to people, when do we buckle down? When do we get serious? When do we stop playing? If you're in your 20s, you having partying and all of this stuff. When do you put the partying down and say, okay, now it's time to buckle down and go to work? When do you actually start to focus and actually get yourself together, get your life together? When do you actually say it's time to start saving and doing the hard work? When do you actually say, man, it's time for me to actually sit down and start reading now instead of passing it by? When do you put the Netflix down and you go pick up the next book? When do you do it? When do you look at your finances instead of saying, I'm in debt? When do we stop putting down the hustle culture and start becoming people who can get into the real hustle, the real game in life? Everybody here's the play. When do we get out of the play and when do we get to the playbook and get out of the play? Because it's always the singular form stuff that we got going on in the community, in the culture, in the world right now. Everything's got to be, I'm going to get it in the one time only. I want to get rich one time. I want to make it big with one viral hit. Everybody's looking for that one big 15-minute fame push, but no one wants to do the actual work to become successful. And again, when do we put that down and start buckling down to really become successful long term? I'll ask you and leave that for you in the comment. When do we actually start doing the hard work? Because what ends up happening is life will pass you by and you'll get old enough where you can do. I got people in my family that they're still trying to now catch up to become successful, but pissed away 40, 50, 60 years where they had opportunities to do better for themselves, to buckle down. But when do we buckle down? We don't. We don't buckle down at all. Because everybody's got a tomorrow attitude. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it the next day. I'll make sure I get it done another time. When is tomorrow today is my question. And that's the problem. There is no tomorrow to wait on. If you can't feel it by now, you're lost. If you don't get a sense right now that things are getting more serious than ever, I told my wife before, man, you at some point, you got to stop doing the same thing every day. You got to start doing something different. You can't say things will be different. At some point, you got to actually start doing the math. You got to start writing stuff down, because you don't have success to show if you can't show it. If you got to argue success from a point of feeling, you don't have anything that you can prove, because you should be able to lay it out. I should be able to look at it and say, okay, man, you're pretty successful. You got to do these certain things. You don't have these certain things. That is success. Success can be analyzed without you speaking. You can look at the YouTube channel and say, how many subscribers does he have? How many views does he have? This, and this. Is he successful? Yes or no? It's not me trying to argue the success of the channel. You should be able to make that decision from yourself. Do I have useful content? You should be able to see that without me saying the content is useful. Is there different content up here, not just selling dirt? Does he attack IULs? Does he attack business? Does he do it with his kids? Do you see him do it? Do you see me walking the walk? If you can say yes without me saying it, then there is nothing for me to say what I think about what you can see. And you got to start looking at that. If you can't see on your own, if a person cannot show you the data in their lives, the data about what they're doing in their lives to show you that they're successful, then why should you even follow them if they can't prove their point with you analyzing the data? And you see that now. The Pentagon don't want to be audited. All these people don't want to be audited because the data would have to show where the money is and what they spend it on. And what they want to do is tell you what they spend it on and tell you where the money is. They don't want to show you where the money is without them speaking. Because without them speaking, you would actually be able to look at things and say, okay, now tell me why this number doesn't look it. Don't speak from your side. Speak to this issue. And you got to make sure that your life can be spoken from the issue. From people can look at what you have going on in your life and say, I feel he's going to be successful. She's going to be successful. When people say, I am the table, what do you bring to the table? I am the table. Again, there's no data there. There's just generalities. Do not let people lead your life with generalities. Let them lead your life with actuality, with things that you can see, tangible things that you know you can build upon, add to, or also put in addition to what you got going on. I'm going to leave you with this. This is a gem and a gem of all gems. When people come into your life, they are either going to add to, subtract, divide, or multiply. The whole question is, you need to ask them, are you here to, I tell my son this all the time. My daughter will be doing something, vacuuming, and he'll come over with the talking. I said, you either came to add, subtract, multiply, divide. You even came to increase her workload by you coming in and helping, and you're going to do it twice as fast and get it done. You came to divide and be able to take something off her plate, to remove some work, because you've already done it ahead of time. You came to subtract by delaying her to take away from something she's going, or you came here to add on. Most people think adding is you're going to add value to. No, you either came to add more work because your ass in here yapping and yapping. Now no work is getting done. So I'm telling you all again, make sure people do not add more to your life that is not worth the work you're doing. Actualities over their perceived reality. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, Ancestry Lands. I'm out. Have a good day and a good morning. Peace.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you'll gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.